I'm Amanda, and this is The Middle of It, a podcast about the messy but beautiful in between parts of life. Today, we're talking about what it really means when our lives become unmanageable. And I don't just mean in the context of addiction or recovery. I mean in any area of your life that feels out of control. Whether it's food, relationships, work, body image, or just that constant need to hold everything together. This one's for you. When we talk about powerlessness, most people's minds go straight to addiction, alcohol, drugs, whatever. But that's not the whole picture. Powerlessness shows up everywhere. It can be in food, in relationships, in family patterns, even in perfectionism at work. All the little ways we try to control everything around us. You can be completely powerless in those areas and still have the rest of your life looking perfectly fine from the outside. And it doesn't always mean you've lost everything. There are people who hit that kind of rock bottom, who walk into a meeting because a judge told them to, who've lost their freedom, their home, their ability to choose. That's one version of it. More often, it's quieter. It's the slow unraveling before the crash. It's catching yourself on your way there, realizing something's off, but still trying to white knuckle your way through it. And that's the kind of powerlessness most of us know, the kind that hides behind, I'm fine. For me, control and power were the same thing. If I could control it, I felt powerful. And when I couldn't, I felt completely powerless. And I hated that feeling. It wasn't just about drinking. It showed up in my body image, in my relationships, in the way I tried to manage every emotion that scared me. If I could keep everything lined up just right, I thought I could keep myself safe. But really, I was exhausting myself trying to manage things that were already managing me. No matter how hard I tried to manage something, it was managing me. And here's what I learned: powerlessness isn't weakness, it's not giving up, it's naming it. It's being able to say, this thing has power over me. Because that kind of honesty, that's strength. Awareness is where it starts. That's the beginning. You can't change what you don't acknowledge. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. So now let's talk about what I've decided to call boss bitch management. I used to say I'm managing like it was some kind of badge of honor. Yeah, like I'm fine, I'm managing. But when I was really saying was I'm barely holding it together. That's not management. That's survival. And I think for a long time, I didn't even realize that managing had become my normal. When someone asked, "Hey, how are you doing?" I'd say, "Oh, managing." And they'd go, "Yeah, I hear you." And that was it. Just two people quietly admitting we're barely keeping it together and pretending that's fine. But now, when I think about managing, I think about the energy behind it. There's managing like survival, that burnt out, white knuckling, just making it through the day energy. And then there's that boss bitch management, where you're grounded, intentional, and living your most authentic life. That's the difference. I don't want to just manage my life. I want boss bitch management, the kind where you're not just surviving the chaos, you're actually showing up for your life. When you're awake in it, choosing it, shaping it, and not just enduring it. And I think we all know that tone, that I'm okay, I'm fine, I'm managing, that tone. You can hear the exhaustion underneath it. You can feel that something's off. That's the illusion we live in. The mask that says everything's fine when inside, we know it's not. Because admitting it feels like failure, but it's not. It's truth. So let's make it real. Let's talk about what managing actually looks like in different parts of life. Let's start with body image because that one was really a hard one for me not so long ago. Someone would say to me, "Hey, how's it going with the baby weight and things like that?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's going." Meanwhile, I'm at home standing in front of my mirror, trying on every single piece of pre pregnancy clothing I own, pulling out bins from before I had a baby, and every single thing I put on made me want to cry. My brain was screaming, "You look awful. You look fat. I hate my body." And before I know it, that turns into, "I hate myself." That spiral, that's powerlessness. That's where control becomes the problem. That's the moment when I have to admit, I'm not managing this. What I'm doing isn't working because no amount of control or punishment or comparison is going to fix what's actually going on inside. Or take work, the never ending chaos of trying to stay on top of everything. Your inbox is overflowing. There are messages you haven't answered in weeks. Your to do list is like from a month ago because every time you check something off, 5 new things appear. You've got more meetings, more projects, more expectations, and someone says, "So, how are you doing?" And you say, "I'm managing." No, you're not. You're drowning. You're surviving, not managing. And that's okay to admit because it's the truth. Something's not working. And then there's the high bottom drinking version of managing. You've got the job, the house, the car, no DUIs. You haven't lost custody or landed in rehab, but you're waking up hungover more mornings than you want to admit. You're piecing together conversations from the night before. You're finishing bottles of wine faster than you used to, and sometimes you're opening another one because the night's still young. Your friends start saying things like, "You all right?" Or maybe take a break. And you laugh it off because to the outside world, you're fine. You're managing. But deep down, you know you're not. You're crossing invisible lines every single week. You're losing trust in yourself. And that's that same thread again. Something isn't working. And that's where it starts. Not with fixing it, not with shame, just with the honesty that says something's got to change. You don't have to know what yet. You just have to be willing to admit that the way you've been doing it, the way you've been managing, isn't working anymore. So when I first said to my sponsor, "I'm managing," she just looked at me and said, "Okay, but is it bearable?" And that question broke me. I've talked about this before. My life was unbearable, and I had been calling it managing. That was my truth. So I want to ask you the same thing. Is this area of your life actually manageable? Or has it quietly crossed over into unbearable? And you've just been too busy calling it normal. That's what we do, right? We normalize it. We normalize the stress, the exhaustion, the pain. We normalize living on fumes because everyone around us seems to be doing it too. But that doesn't make it bearable. So think about it. You think you're managing, but has this part of your life become unbearable? Sometimes the answer hits you in the smallest, most honest moments, like standing in front of the mirror, trying to love what you see, but the voice in your head won't let you. That's where it feels unbearable because deep down, you know what would have to change to feel different. And that truth hurts. Or staring at your inbox, flooded, weeks of unanswered messages, the same to do list haunting you every day. You're coming up with excuses for why you haven't responded yet, feeling behind before the day even starts. That's unbearable. Or the wine example again. Sitting with friends, laughing, but you catch their eyes flicker when you pour another glass, and suddenly you feel that flash of shame. So you over explain, oh, I had a hard day, or I'm celebrating something. You start gravitating toward the people who drink like you do, so you won't have to see yourself so clearly. And you tell yourself this is normal. But is it? Because I'm pretty sure most people who are truly managing their lives don't have to hide it. People who are actually managing their health, they look in the mirror and feel proud or at least peaceful. People who are managing their workload, they might be busy, but they feel capable, not buried. And people who are managing their emotional lives, they're not constantly explaining or apologizing for their choices. That's living in alignment with yourself. That's boss bitch management energy. And let me be honest, there are areas in my life right now where I do feel that way. When my inbox is at zero, my to do list is up to date, and my projects are on time, hell yeah, that feels like boss bitch management. When I can look in the mirror sober and know I don't have to lie to myself anymore, that's boss bitch energy too. Because that's what this really comes down to, being able to look at the litmus test of your life and tell the truth. To see where things have tipped into toxicity or imbalance, and instead of ignoring it, to name it. That's real management, not control, not perfection, but awareness. It's like risk management for your soul. You learn to recognize when something's veering off course and say, okay, this isn't working. I don't have to control it, but I can pay attention to it. That's what boss bitch management actually is. Not holding on tighter, but being willing to look honestly at what's no longer working and doing something different. This next part, this isn't about fixing, it's about seeing. Once you admit that something's unmanageable, you can unsee it. You start to notice it everywhere. You start to see the patterns, the little behaviors, the lies you tell yourself just to stay comfortable. And that awareness, that's where power begins. Because real power doesn't come from control, it comes from surrender. And once you see it, you can't help but notice how it flows through everything. In AA, we call it clean house, clean mind. And I take it quite literally because for me, those two are always connected. When my life feels chaotic, my home starts to reflect it. And when my home is out of order, I feel it emotionally. It's like the energy builds until it starts spilling over into every area of my life. When something becomes unmanageable, when it crosses into unbearable, it doesn't stay neatly contained in one box. It starts to leak into everything else. It's like when your inbox is overflowing, your messages are piling up, and your workload feels like it's closing in on you. And then you come home and the sink's full, the laundry's waiting, and the floor is covered in toys. And instead of taking a breath and pausing, you snap. You lose your patience, your voice raises, and suddenly you're reacting to everything and everyone around you because you've lost the ability to stay in control of your emotions. That's what overflow looks like. Or it's when you hate what you see in the mirror and that self judgment starts creeping into everything else. You cancel plans, you don't want to be seen, you feel disconnected from people you love because you don't feel good about yourself. That's overflow too. Or maybe it's your relationship. When things have gotten to a point where it feels unbearable, and instead of addressing it, you start shutting down. You stop talking, stop connecting, stop showing up in the ways you used to. And then suddenly, it's not just your relationship that's suffering, it's your energy, your confidence, your motivation, your joy. That's what happens when something becomes unmanageable. It spreads. That's why this first admission matters so much, because seeing it, saying it out loud, that's the beginning of change. And not change in the fix it right now way, change in the I see it clearly now and I can't pretend I don't kind of way. That's surrender. And that's where real power starts to take root, not in control, but in honesty. So, where in your life are you managing? And where might you be powerless, even if you don't want to admit it? Just sit with that, because awareness isn't weakness, it's the first step towards strength. This week, I want you to notice what's managing you. Notice the things that you're trying to keep in control and ask yourself if it's actually controlling you. That's where we start. And here's a challenge. What might happen if you stopped trying to control it and just admitted you're powerless over that one thing? Why not just try? Nobody even has to know. Take one piece, one situation, one behavior, one area, and admit that you're powerless over it. Sit with that for a week. Watch what comes up. Because that admission isn't the end, it's a doorway. Once you admit it, you're not stuck. You're free to begin. You're not broken. You're just in the middle of it. And the middle is where you stop pretending it's fine. Until next time, keep going.